But I'm going to pose a slightly different question as well. Why did this happen? You know, this lovely firewall that I spent a fortune on a couple of years ago now, and it's, you know, why isn't that working anymore? I've got a really good antivirus product I've been using for years. It's top, best-known brand, etc. You know, why isn't this working anymore? To get some insight into that, we probably need to look back at who these bad guys are that I talked about earlier. Back in the day, I don't know, back in the 90s or whatever, your bad guy was your kind of stereotype was the you know, the spotty teenager sitting alone in his bedroom writing this stuff. Probably a bit of a stereotype or a bit of a simplification, but it tend to be that. It tend to be loners, people who were doing it because they could, maybe to impress themselves or their friends. That, you know, evolved over time, you know, into things like activists, people with a political message to spread, and etc. The big thing about these people is not that they weren't causing trouble, but they weren't specifically in it for the money. They weren't specifically after your data, and very often they weren't out to really harm anybody. That's not to say they didn't, but that wasn't their game. Now, that changed over time. Certainly in the noughties, criminal elements started to get involved. I kind of call them amateur criminals. Maybe I'm not really doing them justice here, but these were tended to be small one-person outfits or relatively small outfits. They typically targeted the, you know, the consumer, the home user market, and the small to medium enterprise. They weren't really a match for large, you know, corporates, etc., that would have all of those technologies I talked about a minute ago, that would be more than capable of dealing with them. Okay, now this changed in the last couple of years. It's hard to put an exact date in it. It's pretty much 3 years to the day, I believe, since the first instance of ransomware, the first big one went wild. I think it was 2013. I'm losing track of the years myself at this stage. But certainly in the last year or two, it's changed. And what's really changed is this whole thing has become big business, and I mean big business. I'll throw a couple of stats at you. I honestly can't remember where I got them, but they are real stats. I got them from the internet, so they must be true. Cybercrime is now more profitable than the drugs trade. Now, that's quite the statistic if you think about it. It's more profitable than the drugs trade. What that means is that large, major international criminal gangs are getting involved in this. You know, people that might have been, I don't know, running drugs in South America or arms dealers in Russia or something. And I'm not making this up. This is real. These are the type of people that are getting involved in this, and they're formidable opponent. And that's really without getting into the technicalities of how this is happening. This is the why. Another statistic I got from one of the research companies was that cybercrime costs are projected to reach $2 trillion per annum by 2019. I think it's something like $500 billion at the moment, so it's pretty much doubling, or in or around doubling every year or so, they say. So this is just, it's unbelievable money, and that's why so much it has been put into this. And this is why even the largest of organizations, you know, that have had these traditional best-of-breed firewalls, antivirus, etc., they're actually able to get through this. They're able to break their way through it, and certainly the SME state really is vulnerable.